Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Islamic Finance. We will summarize some of the other modes of financing and a couple of other principles. However, this is not the end of Islamic finance. There are many other topics, many other complex instruments that we might not be able to cover in this last segment. So today, as we said, few more important principles will be covered. But before we go into this, I just wanted to highlight one important thing. When we look at the system of Islamic economy in general, what we have to understand is that everything we so far cover, which is maybe, let's say, 10–20% of the entire subject, comes down to the whole system of what Islam wants to see in society. So if you think about global financial crisis again, when they were troubled and we wanted to bring the system back into the normal, what did governments do? What did people do?
They started taking away interest.
They started stimulating it by either for giving loans or giving money to the people. Like in Australia, government gave about $1,000 to each citizen. In US, governments gave money to the corporations. So they started stimulating so that people could recover, economy can grow, the jobs, people can purchase stuff, everybody can participate. So even in Australia, for example, when government gave $1,000, which is not much, what happened? People started buying, confidence came back, people started producing, and we actually weathered the global financial crisis. Unemployment was not bad, things started getting normal. In Islam, the whole system is organized in a way to take care of itself. So, for example, let's say this is our economy, where people need to buy those things. Okay, people buy stuff. If you look at the people in general, you will have, let's say, rich people here, and then less rich, you know, maybe this is billionaires, millionaires, people in thousands. And here, let's say, people who are those that you can give zakat or something like that. So they are below, let's say, poverty line. Okay? Now, in Islam, we have a couple of institutions, if you wish. Number one is these rich people here, when they have to give compulsory charity, which is zakat. Okay, how much? 2.5% of the wealth, like a savings or any kind of, if it is a business, assets that are for buying and selling. Okay, so any kind of saving fund, cash, any of these assets zakatable, you have to pay that every year. Now this money goes from rich to who?
To the poor.
To the poor. So we give this specifically to these people. Now what is happening with these groups of people here?
They've been taken care of.
They've been taken care of. So in reality, just like before we said, it's stimulating people, it bringing these people who are poor, it bringing them back to economy to participate. Okay? Because now these people can participate in economy. Inheritance in Islam, it's compulsory again. For example, wealth, okay? It breaks the chunks of wealth. Let's say you have a billionaire who has massive wealth. This money is then broken down, so it makes many, many millionaires, and so on. So it breaks down money into the chunks. It creates more people who have money, opportunity, something never before. So what is happening with these people? It again brings them to economy as a kind of investors. Okay? So law of inheritance was to break down wealth, so it is not circulating only amongst the few, as we know from Quran, isn't it? So that money does not just circulate amongst the few. So these people as investors, they come in the economy, and there are more of them. They have opportunity to grow wealth. With the growth of wealth, they pay zakah more, bringing more people in economy. What is happening with the economy when you bring people who buying and selling, people who investing, and those people other who are here already, who start maybe managing based on musharaka or other partnership basis, mudaraba money, economy grows, entrepreneurship, it stimulates entire country. In a case we miss somebody, what do we have? We have, for example, institution of waqf, which targets, sometimes you might miss spots in society, not because they are poor or something, but there might be project things, stuff needs support. So you have waqf, for example. Take care in perpetuity, take care of certain specific things. Or there is a sadaqah which is, again, targeting some other people. There could be a person here, he might lose everything. He might not be in this category, you might miss it, but he might be entitled for some other thing, some other share. Okay? So when we have these things participating more in economy, here we want justice. Here we want these people with money to cooperate with other people, have money or have ideas or are just participating on a partnership basis. So that this guy has a chance to come up to be here based on his work. So he invests with him, they work together, they can grow here. So this can grow. And these people will push more. We are not socialism, everybody must be here or here or here. We understand this will be always. But you have to have economic opportunity for people, so if they work, have talent, they can benefit everybody, plus they can end up here, which is not the goal. We understand. Craving for this is not the end. Point is that you create system that helps, is beneficial. It's not to be here or have a bigger checkbook or something like that. It's to be productive, it's to add value. It's to be able to do something with what you are doing, okay? So this is Islamic system that is based on justice and the rules and real principles, timeless principles, okay? Now, we said mudaraba is another mode of financing, which we're going to briefly cover. What is mudaraba? What does it mean, mudaraba?
It would be to
Mudaraba.
you give a certain type of a capital to someone.
Yeah, from mudarib, like a fund manager or manager, somebody who does something, yeah?
We have Rabbul Mal and
Rabbul Mal is investor, yeah? So mudaraba is mudarib. So what's the difference between musharaka and mudaraba?
In musharaka, you're both giving.
Both giving
money,
something.
something.
However, not always you have somebody with money, as we have lots of youth, talent, idea, as I mentioned before here. They might be somewhere in the middle or here, they might not have, but they have brains. These people might have money, or maybe the other people have some wisdom, know how to manage stuff. So you want to bring mudarib and investor, Rabbul Mal, into the business. And then they do their thing and again share like before. They can negotiate profit, and the loss is always shared according to capital contribution. In this case, this investor is putting 100%, so he's risking his contribution of 100%. He's putting 100% of the time, he's risking that. Okay, so that is how mudaraba work. Now, somebody might ask, okay, what's the importance of this? This we can build investment or saving accounts in the bank, isn't it? In this case, investors would be those who are depositing money into the account, and the bank is mudarib. If this is a bank, okay, it would have all of these investors, you know, opening, saving, or investment account, and the bank would be mudarib here. When bank wants to mobilize money, that's how they do it. When they want to, what they do with money, when they get it, then they become investor or Rabbul Mal. So how, in which relationship, for example, in musharaka basis, somebody want to buy a home. Okay, so they buy home with the client, 20-80%, for example. They get a profit. When they get a profit, they distribute this to those who hold accounts, and so on and so forth. Okay, that is just a brief kind of summary how it works. We mobilize the fund, we deploy the funds, and help people. So idea is to grow, to help, to benefit your community. Okay.
The theory of profit and loss sharing is also working.
Also working, because these guys, for example, investor is putting money 100%. So they're risking any losses on investor in mudaraba. And the mudarib fund manager, because the fund manager In fact, they don't do anything. They don't put money. Bank might put the money, then it would be musharaka. But if, forget a bank, anybody, I work as a mudarib, as a manager. I don't put anything except my skill, time. So what do I lose if there is a loss? I cannot be liable for a capital unless I was neglectful. I did something that I was not supposed to do. Then that is a negligence. I did something that I could be liable for. So that is a little bit
Like
different. For example, I was told not to invest in certain assets, and I did that. Like last night I was watching documentary, the guy who was running the fund, and he invested $6 billion in European government bonds and a small firm. And he cleaned out customer accounts. 6 billion he lost. Huge case. Now, if we said, do, only here, and you put it here, why did you do that? You did something, that is not your decision. You broke the rules. So any kind of activity like this, we cannot support it. You can be liable for the loss. So inshallah, after this break, we're going to conclude this topic, inshallah.
Tawheed is our way to salvation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have not created jinn and mankind except to worship me. Also Allah says, verily we have sent into every nation a messenger proclaiming worship Allah and shun false deity. To know more about Tawheed, join me, Salim Al-Amiri, only on Peace TV.
Join the institution advocating the oneness of Allah. Join Salim Al-Amri in Kitab al-Tawheed today at 5:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 4 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Marriage or divorce?
What's Islamic ruling?
Nikah.
Love book.
Solution or problem? Heaven or hell?
There is a misconception.
You choose. Beauty, wealth, family status, virtue. Decide what you want. Decide your choice. Be sad or be happy. It's your choice. Join Dr. Zakir Naik in Better Half or Bitter Half every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. and repeat telecast at 9:30 a.m. Saudi Arabia on Peace TV. Their advice,
who was raised under the banner of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
their guidance,
Their foundation is based on the Quran and the teaching of the Messenger of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
their example.
When the sun is above the heads of the people,
Saeed Raghi,
this young man or young lady, on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, they will be under that shade, the shade of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
going in the divine direction, blessing of Allah, the world of Muslim youth. Next on Peace TV.
Welcome back. We are talking about Islamic modes of financing in today's episode of Islamic Finance. We are discussing debt-based financing, meaning that it is not profit and loss sharing arrangement. It is simple sale or a lease of a product.
The theory of profit and loss sharing is also working here.
Also working, because these guys, for example, investor is putting money 100%. So they are risking any losses on investor in Mudaraba. And the Mudarib fund manager, because the fund manager, in fact, they don't do anything. They don't put money. Bank might put the money, then it would be musharaka. But if, forget a bank, anybody, I work as a Mudarib, as a manager. I don't put anything except my skill, time. So what do I lose if there is a loss? I cannot be liable for a capital unless I was neglectful. I did something that I was not supposed to do. Then that is a negligence. I did something that I could be liable for. So that is a little bit
Like
different.
what?
For example, I was told not to invest in certain assets. And I did that. Like last night I was watching documentary. The guy who was running the fund, and he invested $6 billion in European government bonds and a small firm. And he cleaned out customer accounts. $6 billion he lost. Huge case. Now, if we said, do, only here, and you put it here, why did you do that? You did something, that is not your decision. You broke the rules. So any kind of activity like this, we cannot support. You can be liable for the loss, because now you're going beyond the risk we told you. We don't want. You are Mudarib, we gave you money to buy and sell tables, and you go buy and sell, I don't know, watermelons. Okay, so forget batik, come do your business, right? So that's what we want. Makes sense? So that's just a picture how this stuff works. Okay. Now, these are profit and loss sharing. However, we said that not everything is run on profit and loss sharing basis. Sale and lease contract definitely work a little bit differently. So what sort of sale and lease contract do you know?
Ijara.
Ijara is what? Lease. So ijara. And what else we have in sale and lease?
Istithna.
Istisna.
Okay, let me say murabaha now.
Murabah.
Okay, what else we have?
Salam.
Salam.
Okay. And istisna. What is ijara? It's a lease. Okay, how does lease work? Let's say we have our contract. Yep. We say we have party A and B. What is in this contract? What are the other things we need? We need
the person who's going to.
So these are A and B.
Okay.
They are parties in the
So we
contract.
need the subject matter.
Subject matter. Okay, something that is being bought or sold. And what else?
Consideration.
That's right, consideration, which is money, payment. Okay, so I give you this, you give me that. Okay, let's see how these sale or lease-based contract or modes of financing work. This could be anything, for our purposes, we'll see how we go. So let's say this is now car, for instance. Subject matter is a car. In a lease, you're renting the car, and what are you actually giving to B?
You're giving him money.
You are giving to B right to use that car.
Benefit from
Benefit.
Benefit.
Yeah?
Sorry.
So in ijara, it's all about giving benefit. Right to use it, let's say 1 year, $1,000. So they're paying you for a rent. Ownership is with you.
Yes.
In a sale like murabaha, and murabaha is usually type of a sale where you buy something for, let's say, 100, and when you sell, you add markup. Okay, now we said before, sometimes this instrument is misused through various commodity murabaha and transactions. But in general, idea is that you buy and you disclose how much it costs you, and then you add your profit for doing this business. So you would add, for example, you bought it for 100, you add 25, you sell for 125 to pay later in installments. So this is widely used today. You can finance machines, equipment, things, and sometimes bank between themselves through commodity murabaha manage their liquidity positions and so on. So it's a very interesting instrument, but we don't want entire Islamic banking to become about murabaha or ijara. Okay? Now, in murabaha we say we buy something, we sell at the markup, and in this case, immediately ownership is transferred. So you owe debt as a result of murabaha. That's why when you are securitizing, as they say, or making other complex product out of murabaha financing, this is an end result which is a debt. And this cannot be then sliced in the shares and sold as a sukuk or anything, okay? So this doesn't work. That's why we would see normally ijara is much more popular choice. Okay, so that is the murabaha, and of course, a reason why people would choose this convenience is because they don't have to pay now. They can pay later in murabaha. So difference between normal sale and murabaha is that in a normal sale you don't disclose your markup. In murabaha you have to disclose this upfront, so we know basically what's happening. Okay, so this is, of course, when you look at the banks, main problem with these things is this in a bank synthetic or real trade. You see, and in general in Islamic finance, they have to look at this in that fashion. Because in murabaha, if this is a bank, they have to buy this before they sell it. And they have to own it. It has to be in their possession, and it has to be something that pass ownership to them before they can make a transaction. So when we look at these transactions, whether it's sale or lease, we want to see some genuine trade movement. Synthetic transaction would be just maybe on the paper or on something that is not real. And we have to look why people do that. Is there some real reason behind certain ways, certain laws, certain tax implications, restrictions? So these are sometimes very complex things that needs to be analyzed. Look at the details. And of course, when we judge financial institution, we cannot take judgment on the whole thing. We go usually product by product, because every product, sometimes you might have two products in the same place, might meet different standards differently. So one might be acceptable, where otherwise might be not so great. So this is where the details are, in the way we acquire ownership, in the way we price these things, and whole heaps of things. Okay?
If in murabaha, if I wanted to purchase a house,
yep,
and I went to the bank, and the house was maybe 500,000.
Yep.
And they agreed to do it murabaha, and they went to the person that owns the house,
mm-hmm,
and they gave him half of that money.
mm-hmm.
Will it still be?
Why would they give him half of the money?
Just to gain, they said they'll pay him, and they gave him half of the money for the time being.
Yeah,
Well,
the promise,
mm-hmm,
you know, the promise for
But
buying
the promise for buying the house, and they'll give him more.
If they gave him half of the money, then they bought it on murabaha. You promised to buy the house.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They go to the person and they buy it. Maybe they bought it also on murabaha. Okay, maybe. But that would mean another person who is financing or whatever is the arrangement. That person who is selling, then he is ready to take that risk. Besides, that's usually what happened, because if that was the case, then first person would go to him.
Normally, what I meant is, in murabaha, normally when you go to the bank, they purchase the house for you.
That's right, that's right. So they make you like an agent to pick the house, to find the house. Then they would purchase or appoint you as an agent for them to purchase on their behalf. At the end of the day, they have to purchase through agent or themselves. They have to own the asset, because you cannot sell something to a customer that you don't have.
So if they partially own it, still they cannot sell.
No. Even if they put, let's say they arranged, I give you 50% now and 50% later. Okay? That is full ownership. Okay? So ownership in that case is transferred directly to them. Now they're paying in installments.
Okay. Yes.
So in the same way, if I sell you a house on installments, it's your house. You can sell it to the other person. That's what we call tawarruk.
Okay.
Okay, that's one version of tawarruk, which is I buy something on credit and maybe I sell it on the spot or something like that. Usually people do it in order to gain some liquidity. Now in this case, if the person I'm buying and selling from are the same, this is type of riba. However,
بيع العينة.
that's right. However, if they are different parties, then it is acceptable under certain conditions, but we again don't want these sorts of transactions to be the main thing that we do. Because people can see and say, okay, this is something that might start resembling fictitious sales. Even when you buy and sell and there are different people or brokers on a metal exchange or something, that aluminium that they use as a thing to do